everyone, and welcome back to Seduce Me. Last time, we got started on Matthew's route. Well, we kind of had to chase down Simon Tabby, that is. Well, anyway, you all know basically what's going to happen here, but let's jump in anyway, shall we? Matthew walked over to me and held my hand gently, looking at me with a smile.
Everything will be okay. Promise.
I promise. I'm holding you to that promise, Matthew. I nodded, feeling that he was telling the truth, or at least a hopeful and comforting thought, and smiled back. Matthew gently leaned close to me and kissed my cheek, however, making me blush and forget what I was thinking about. The sound of collective chuckles and playful snickers whispered through the air, making me blush even more, but the laughter stopped as Sam let out an oof after a fluffy object collided with his face. I looked up to see Matthew, who was glaring at his brothers, holding up a fluffy anime plushie. That's cute. He and I pulled away from each other just as the sound of Naomi's car appeared. I quickly ate my food, waved to the boys, left confident that nothing was going to happen. But something happened, and her name is Diana. Matthew! Suddenly, Diana stopped in her tracks.
Matthew? Who is...
It then dawned on her.
Ah, one of the boys. Why don't you tell me which boy is Matthew?
Okay, I felt myself nod in compliance. The fourth. Diana giggled in reply before letting go of my face and stepping back.
Really? The child? With you?
Well, he may kind of act like a child, but he's not really a child. I nodded once again, but this time it was partly my own decision to reply. Diana let out a sound that mimicked a cat's purr before stepping away from me.
Alright then. Well, if it's the fourth son you're infatuated with, you should really rethink your romantic options.
You've been saying this to me every single time, and I am sick of it. Don't tell me to rethink my romantic options, Diana. Don't you dare tell me that. Diana chuckled before kissing my nose, where I felt a shot of energy zap out of my body, almost making me dizzy and recoil. Diana then turned to the desk and sounded the wood crossing her legs.
You can go now. Remember, no class for the rest of the week.
Okay. Beside me, sitting in a chair beside the bed, was Matthew, rousing himself up to see me awake. I smiled at him, seeing his slightly ruffled hair and tired eyes.
Oh, you're awake. How do you feel?
I feel fine. Better than I was. Matthew nodded before he looked down at the bed, taking my hands into his.
I'm really sorry. I'm really, really sorry.
Matthew, it's not your fault.
No, please listen. I know that Diana and Malix have come after you because of us, so it's our fault that you're constantly in danger. If I hadn't convinced everyone to come to the human world, we would have never been attacked by Malix and hunted down and brought you in danger and...
I quickly reached over and put my finger on his lips, stopping him from going any further. I didn't want to hear anymore. Matthew, it's okay. I wanted to help you out. I offered to let you all stay. Nothing is your fault. I gently moved my hand and cupped Matthew's cheek, staring at him with concern. I didn't want him to hold guilt in his mind about this whole ordeal. Diana was desperate and she'd hunt anyone for them. It wasn't his fault she was desperate enough to hunt them down. However, I grew curious. So, Matthew, you're noble? Matthew looked at me and gave me a goofy smile.
I was once, but even if I had the title, I didn't really feel like a noble.
How come?
Well, I was the fourth noble son of the Demon Lord. With Eric and Sam ahead of me in case James couldn't fulfill his duties, there was no way I was getting the throne. So, I spent the majority of my time trying to make my mother happy. She was always unhappy.
Unhappy? How come?
Well, my dad was kind of... well, he married 4 different women. Each of us came from a different mother, and My mother was the last to be married and bear a son. The thing with succubi, though, is that they get jealous very easily.
Yeesh. So what happened?
The other wives got mad and scorned each other. It wasn't violent, but we never ate together for a reason. My mom, though, was too proud to have jealousy. She was the last woman the Demon Lord married, so she felt important. She felt that because he stopped marrying, she had the charm to stop his marrying spree.
Matthew let out a small laugh, a hint of depression lingering in the breath he let out.
But then the Demon Lord took another woman and she bore him a son outside of wedlock. Damien. The wives, including my mother, were furious. In response, the Demon Lord had a spell cast on them, turning them into spiritual orbs.
That's horrible! Matthew nodded, pressing his lips together in both agreement and sadness.
They could never have physical form, and they lost all their powers. They became slaves trapped in the Demon Lord's castle. However, they were kept alive to make sure their sons grew up to be competent demons.
I'm sorry. Matthew gently shrugged, letting a small nostalgic smile grace his lips.
She taught me how to be a demon, though. Not just a demon, a grown, adult demon. I read books, I learned strategy, everything that James was doing under the Demon Lord's watch. Only, I trained with just my mother. She wanted me to surprise the Demon Lord one last time, and maybe take the throne away from James.
Matthew then reached into his pocket and took out a small mirror.
Here, I'll show you.
Okay. Matthew handed it to me and sent a wave of blue mist into it. It began to glow until it enveloped the room in a bright light. When the light had subsided, I was back in the main hall of the demon castle. I looked around, feeling unable to move, but I could practically see everything as clear as I had before. However, my focus gathered on Matthew, sitting on the throne as if it was his and reading a book. For some reason, Matthew reminded me of James at that moment. Well, they are brothers. He seemed engrossed in his reading each word and absorbing each meaning. Him on the throne surprisingly fit him. There was something about him.
This is an easy read.
A saddened cry, however, echoed through the hall, forcing Matthew to stop, close the book, and stand from the throne.
Mother?
I looked around, confused at the cry and where it was coming from. It seemed to just echo through the room without any source of direction. Matthew sighed and placed the book on the armrest of the throne before he cupped his hands together.
Fly and comfort her, will you?
Oh. As Matthew opened up his hands, a small bird with blue and purple feathers perked up from the hiding place. Matthew smiled before releasing it into the air. I watched as it flew off and glided through an open archway. The sound of its flapping wings faded into the air as it flew further into the castle.
Come on.
I could tell Matthew was holding his breath. He must have cared very deeply for his mother. It was incredibly sweet. At last, the sound of the crying stopped, making Matthew release a happy sigh.
There we go.
Yep. Good Matthew, cheering your mother up. Matthew cracked his knuckles in approval and reached for his book. However, before he could even graze the cover with his fingers, the sound of pattering entered the room.
You, fourth son, away from the throne!
All right.
Sheesh!
Ah, what am I going to do with you? You're a child.
Matthew glared at the servant as the servant quickly brushed the throne off like there was dust all over it.
The next time I see you on the throne, I will inform the Demon Lord. Understand?
Yes.
Yeah, whatever you say. The demon servant continued to brush over the throne before knocking the book from the armrest. Matthew froze as the servant quickly padded over and picked it up.
What is this? A book? Why do you have it?
I was reading.
You read? You don't need to read. You're never going to need knowledge for anything, fourth son.
Well, what if I want that knowledge? What if he wants that knowledge? I saw Matthew's eye twitch, making me grimace. This servant sure had a mouth. It was annoying at the very least. Well, we kind of gathered that from the other boys' routes, but yeah.
I'll just take this book and bring it to the heir himself to read. He's reading faster than the library can provide.
But that's...
Raestro's next area of study.
The servant began to walk away, ignoring Matthew's glare of anger. The servant stopped, however, to look at Matthew and to pound one more nail into the wound.
Let's face it, kid. You have the smallest horns, the smallest frame, and the least amount of power among the noble sons. You'll never be like them, so just stop trying. Use your incubus powers on others who have a child fetish or something.
Okay, that's it. I want to punch him. The demon looked at Matthew up and down before rushing off where he came from. Wherever he came from. As the servant disappeared, Matthew summoned a knife and chucked it in the direction where the servant left. The knife embedded itself into the hard stone beside the door into the hall.
Ugh, I hate that guy. Disgusting pig fawn.
Matthew walked over and sat on the foot of the throne, clearly aggravated. Eventually, Matthew stopped the magic, lowering the mirror and holding it in his hands before looking to me.
I had hoped to show you my mother, but I guess the mirror wanted to show you something else. Sorry.
Why won't the mirror cooperate? That servant is terrible. But we knew that already.
Tell me about it. He served the Demon Lord almost his whole life. Ugly pig fawn.
Matthew laughed while I laughed at the insult. It was good to see Matthew in good spirits despite what was shown and was happening around us. Still, it was sad to see that he was considered a child of noble sons. He could read books of knowledge that his brother hadn't read, and he seemed caring. It was insulting to see someone tear him down like that. Matthew smiled at me before pocketing the mirror.
Whatever. Thankfully, we got out of there, so I could be with my brothers like a normal family. No hierarchies, no politics, no pig funds, nothing.
I smiled. It was good that he saw the positive side. However, his face slowly turned into a sad one before he looked down at the bed. Matthew?
You've done a lot for me and my brothers. Sheltering us, letting us continue to live here. It may not seem like much, but for us it's everything. But I don't want you to get hurt because of us.
I watched in speechless silence as Matthew lifted his head, his eyes full of almost hopelessness.
That's why I'm sorry.
Matthew lowered his head in shame. I couldn't help but feel my heart squeeze within my chest at the sight. He truly cared. Matthew let out a small sigh before looking to me with a new smile. He hid his sadness well, but I could tell he was still upset about the whole ordeal.
Alright. You need to sleep and I need to make dinner. I'll wake you up when dinner is done.
Okay. Dinner sounds really good. Matthew gently pressed me back down onto the bed, resolved in what had happened. Smooch! I couldn't let him leave without doing something. I quickly pulled Matthew down to me, lifted my head, and gently kissed him, softly laying a hand on his cheek to keep his face close. Matthew stared in deep surprise before hesitantly kissing me back, caressing my cheek, and slightly melting at the touch of our lips. A soft sigh escaped his lips before he pulled away with a smile. He gently licked his lips, making me go right in the face at the simple gesture. He let out a satisfied sigh before nuzzling my forehead.
Go to sleep.
Alright, good night. And with that, he stood up and left the room, leaving me to rest as per his request. I smiled to myself before relaxing into the mattress. Oh god, not Diana again. I suddenly tensed up. I felt majorly uneasy. Something wasn't right. I felt it in my core. She must be here. The thought of her in the house infuriated me beyond belief. I had to make sure she was not here. I rolled out of bed and quickly left my room, wandering the halls and listening closely. She was a demon, but I was listening very intently. There was no way she would have been able to sneak up on me. I know you're here. Where are you? I could feel myself growl. It wasn't a matter of fear that she'd take away the boys anymore. Her very existence had lit a fire of rage within my gut, which only grew as each day went by. This feud was getting on my nerves, and I knew it would not end well for one of us. I wasn't going to lose to that demon witch.
Leave me alone.
My heart stopped. Diana was with Matthew. My mind flew into slow motion, playing fake images of Diana trying to seduce Matthew in my head to further fan the angry flame inside of me. I instinctively followed Matthew's voice. I was approaching the grand lobby and followed the commotion into the dining room. The sound was echoing from the kitchen, so I peeked inside while hiding around the corner. I almost growled at the sight. Matthew was holding one side of the kitchen's island counter with Diana holding the other side, looking to him with a smirk.
Oh, come on, Matthew. Don't you like games? A game of tag sounds so fun.
Not with you. Now go away!
A game of tag with anyone but you, Diana.
I'm hurt. Wounded, truly. Did I go too far?
You went too far when you came here and attacked her.
Pity. And here I thought I was going to offer you the chance to become something better than just a simple incubus.
What was Diana going on about? More than just an incubus? She was insane.
How about becoming the next Demon Lord?
I froze. What did she mean? Becoming the next Demon Lord? The boys weren't in the demon world anymore. They had no claim to the throne anymore. Matthew stared at Diana, which made me worried.
The next Demon Lord?
Well, currently, I'm the contracted bride to the heir to the throne. Since the throne is open, it's available to any son of the Demon Lord's line. Think about it. You'll gain the throne, the land, and a bride to continue your lineage with. Doesn't that sound like a perfect life for an incubus like you? You'll show your father and mother how grown up you are, that you're not just some little cute boy people can take for granted.
I could feel myself gripping my fists tightly in anger. How dare this girl try to convince Matthew to return to the demon world? He ran away from it. He didn't have to go back. He shouldn't go back. My mind began to wander, imagining him saying yes. He would leave, and the brothers would follow to bring him back. They'd be trapped because Diana would make sure they could never leave. Matthew would be the new demon lord with Diana as his queen, and I'd lose him.
Like I would believe you.
Look at Matthew's face. It's just like, hey, what are you going on, B-word? Yeah, I'm not gonna go with you. I'm not gonna go with you. I know that Matthew's voice doesn't sound like that, but it's not like I was really trying to do an impression of him anyway. I was just saying what that look on his face pretty much says. Anyway!
You don't need to believe me, Matthew. You just need to come back home with me. I promise you'll be respected as you were supposed to be.
I'm not falling for it.
Fall for what? The truth? The truth is that your brothers still treat you like a child, even though the demon world is far behind you. The truth is that your little human love affair is fleeting. She can never see you as a man, just as a little boy who wants to grow up.
Stop it!
I stared as Matthew chuckled. Shouldn't it be chucked? I'm just gonna say chucked. I stared as Matthew chucked a handful of knives at Diana, who ducked and dodged them with ease. They dug themselves into the tile wall before fading away as if they didn't exist.
You dare attack me?
I'm not going back. And that is final!
I could see Matthew's muscles tense and flex, wanting to attack Diana. The girl in question, however, took a deep breath and looked at Matthew with a pleading look.
You won't even return to your mother? She's been crying ever since you left.
Do not bring her into this!
Matthew glared as Diana circled the island towards him.
She begged me to bring you back. She wants you to get what you deserve. The throne.
Yeah, but what if he doesn't want the throne? Ever consider that? Huh? Matthew's mom?
I don't believe you.
Matthew then walked away from Diana, heading to the fridge to start dinner as if she wasn't there. Diana stopped and leaned against the counter.
She'll never love you, you know.
I don't mind. I care for her.
The human girl? You must be joking. A human like her can't possibly provide you what you need. She's a human. You're a demon.
I felt the urge to storm in and shut her mouth. It would give away my position, but I was growing extremely tired of Diana. We all are. So it's time to barge in and set her straight. I decided to be assertive and quickly stepped into the room, rushing to be in front of Matthew. Diana and Matthew looked at me in surprise as I glared daggers at Diana. Get out!
Well, well, little human. You're awfully nosy in business that doesn't concern you.
It does concern me!
Does it? I don't think a human would understand the importance of this affair.
You're asking him to leave to be someone he doesn't want to be. That's not going to happen.
Oh? And what makes you so sure about that?
Well, that he's not a child. Or that I love him. Diana stared in shock at my exclamation. Was it not what she expected? I didn't care what she expected. I wasn't going to lose the man I had grown to love.
You love him?
Oh, Diana is shocked. She said that I would never love him, but I just proved her wrong. Yes, I love him. Diana's lips twitched, the edges curling into an amused smirk as she stared at me.
So what? A human's love isn't enough to understand the situation. A demon can never reciprocate human feeling.
Are you sure? To both of our surprise, however, Matthew stepped forward and put an arm around me, pulling me close to his body.
I love her.
He saw the confidence Diana had shatter in her eyes as she stared at Matthew at his words. I could see the struggle in her face to try and find some weakness in Matthew. In me. Anything.
A demon love a human? Impossible.
You heard me. I love her, Diana. I'd do anything for her, and she cares for me more than anyone in the abyssal plane ever had. More than you'll ever know. She makes me feel like the adult I'm supposed to be, and there's nothing you can do to change that. Ever.
Diana took a step back, physically feeling the sting of Matthew's words in her chest. She had lost. I could see it in her eyes. Diana's eyes grew dull as she glared at me and Matthew. It seemed almost uncharacteristic of her, yet it was something I wasn't surprised to see come from her face.
Very well. Fine. Valet.
Bye-bye. And with that, Diana faded into the ground into a purple pentagram, crossing her arms and almost looking upset. Matthew and I were then left alone, left with the silence of the room. I finally let out the air I was unconsciously holding in my chest, relaxing from the ordeal. Matthew stepped to me and held me gently, surprising me.
Are you all right?
I nodded in response, unable to speak so immediately after being surprised. Matthew let out a sigh, relaxing in the embrace. I gently put my hands around him, returning the embrace slightly. I could hear Matthew's heartbeat. He held me close in his arms, and I felt safe beyond words. Are you okay?
Of course I'm okay. I'm holding you.
I looked up at Matthew, surprised at what he said. Matthew blushed, moving a strand of my hair from my face to look down at me.
You mean so much to me. You make me feel like more than just a kid. I've never felt this happy before with anyone, and here you are giving me every reason to love you.
Aw.
I love you so friggin' much.
I stared wide-eyed, blushing like a maniac. Was this real? No way. This couldn't be real. Was Matthew confessing to me? Confessing his love for me? Matthew gently caressed my cheek, staring into my eyes with a loving, almost hopeful expression. The warmth of his hand invited me to nuzzle into it, closing my eyes. This wasn't a dream. My heart was pounding hard enough where I was sure Matthew could hear it. Matthew gently leaned in, closing his eyes. He stopped, however, remaining just a mere torturous inch away from my lips. He wanted me to show my feelings for him. He had left himself open for me to kiss him or leave him empty. The power I had was unbelievable. And we're gonna use it! I loved him and wanted to give him exactly what he wanted. I gently leaned in, letting my lips finally touch his gingerly. Matthew let out an almost surprised gasp against my lips before wrapping both of his arms around my waist, pulling me close to him. I moved my arms up and around his neck, feeling the kiss between us deepen into a heated height. My chest was pounding, making me feel and see fireworks in my mind. Matthew was everything I desired. He was the man I wanted, demon or not. It was so all supernatural to fall in love with someone so quickly. Maybe it was the sense magic I was thrown into. Maybe it was Cupid playing with my heart. Either way, I found myself melting at the thought of him being with me. I felt myself combing my fingers through Matthew's hair, making the man holding me softly tremble at my touch. He gently nibbled on my lower lip, asking me to deepen the kiss between us further. I easily teased him before finally opening my mouth slightly for him. His tongue gently danced with mine as one of his hands slid up my back and cradled my head. He gently leaned my body back, making me cling to him as the heat of our kiss rose higher and higher. Gently, though, Matthew slowed the kiss down and pulled away, staring down at me. His eyes burned for me, wanting me to melt and buckle in his arms. I could feel myself melt already. Matthew opened his mouth to speak, but as a very small blush ran along his cheeks, he was reduced to shy silence. He stared as he tried to find the words to say in my eyes. He knew exactly what he wanted. He didn't need energy, though, right? Are you?
No, I
stared wide-eyed, feeling the blush on my cheeks grow. Oh. He didn't say anything more, but I knew what words would have followed if he continued. He wanted me. I was stunned. Was I that appealing to him? Was his passion really that deep for me? Matthew gently nuzzled my forehead, losing the blush and finally being able to speak.
If you don't want to, we don't have to. I mean, it's up to you.
I could feel my mind go numb and purr at the idea. A moment with an incubus. He was a demon of sex, the purest form of lust and desire. My world would rock, and I would enjoy every second of it. At the same time, I was indeed inexperienced. Diana wasn't wrong when she claimed me to be innocent. Did I want to give that innocence to him, especially this early? I found myself forgetting the words yes and no. What could I say to him? I knew then what I wanted, but how to say it without breaking the moment? Hold me tight! I wasn't ready, but I still wanted to give him the love he wanted. Holding me close was all I needed, all I wanted. Part of me grew fearful of what Matthew would think. Would he hate me? Would he regret giving me his love? So many stories ended when sex wasn't given, and I didn't want the story to end. Matthew, however, smiled and caressed my cheek happily in response, nodding in understanding. I could tell he was okay with my decision, which made my heart flare in joy. Matthew gently leaned in and kissed my lips once again, wanting both of us to cool down from our passionate high. I kissed back sweetly, feeling the heat in my chest die out peacefully. Matthew pulled away slowly, looking into my eyes to reveal a deep love that haunted his blue irises.
Alright, let's get you back to bed.
Okay. Matthew then wrapped an arm around my shoulders and lowered his other arm underneath my knees. I easily held on to him as he lifted me like a blushing bride and carried me out of the room and back towards my room. Matthew was kind enough to know my limits, and I trusted him to respect my choice. He wouldn't enthrall me to go against my wishes, nor would he force himself on me. He was perfect. Matthew gently lowered me onto my bed before patting my head with a loving smile. I was beaming in happiness. I didn't want it to end. As Matthew turned to leave, I quickly grabbed his arm. Wait! Matthew froze and looked back at me, awaiting my next command. He was going to obey no matter what I said, but he was anticipating what I was going to ask. I could see it in his eyes. However, I just wanted him to be with me a little longer. I didn't want to rest alone. Hold me. I repeated my words, holding another meaning in those two words. Was he okay with what I wanted? It was so close to what he had asked for, but it wasn't going beyond what I desired. Matthew took in my words and smiled, nodding before turning back to me and sliding into bed with me. I was surprised, but I happily melted into Matthew's arms as they wrapped themselves around my body. I rested my head against Matthew's chest, enjoying the warmth it provided as I closed my eyes. He truly loved me as I loved him. My rest with him was as peaceful as could be, the best sleep I had in days. When I opened my eyes, I felt Matthew still holding me, but he had fallen asleep. His sleeping face made me giggle softly, but the reality of the situation made my heart flutter. I couldn't believe it. I was lying next to a man I had grown to love with all of my heart. His warm embrace made me feel safe, and as the tender moment we just shared played in my head, I couldn't help but smile and snuggle into his chest further. Unconsciously, he held me tighter to his body, giving me more of his warmth. I didn't want to move, but then my core suddenly tightened and made me sit up without waking the man next to me. I felt my legs move and bring me to my balcony window, where I opened the glass and stepped out onto the patio. And we do all the stuff with Diana, and James becomes CEO. And then one morning, a good couple of years after the boys and I had met, I had a moment to myself, so I wandered my house and took in all that had happened as if it was all a dream. The demons, the devils, the magic. It all was surreal to believe. It almost frightened me to think it could have all been a dream. But the warm feeling in my heart reminded me that it was all real. The demons, the magic, the love I had, all real. I smiled as I held my hands to my chest, relishing in the feelings dancing within my soul. I let out a happy sigh before looking up and seeing where I had wandered to. I realized that I was standing in the dining room. I stopped at the smell of baked goods. Taking a gigantic whiff, I let the smell of sugar and sweets fill my senses. That smells good. I mean, I can't actually smell it myself, but I imagine it smells good. Matthew must be baking again. I tiptoed over and peeked into the kitchen, wanting to know what he was making.
Almost done.
I watched as Matthew started to decorate an already wonderful-looking cake with blue and white frosting. It looked delicious. I was practically salivating. However, as I watched him, I smiled. He looked so concentrated in his work. It was adorable.
And there. Perfect.
Perfection! Matthew stepped back from the cake, allowing me to see his masterpiece. It indeed was perfect. I wanted a taste, and soon. That looks amazing, Matthew.
What?
He wasn't aware that I was there! Matthew quickly turned to me in surprise, trying to hide the cake as I laughed.
I'm not done. I mean...
Matthew? I walked over and smiled, giving him a kiss before walking around to the cake. Closer, it looks all the more scrumptious. What is this for?
Well, I mean, it's for something pretty important.
I wonder what that important thing could be. I looked at Matthew, raising an eyebrow as he wrapped an arm around my waist. What is it for?
Guess. I'll give you 3 chances.
Or what? What if I don't get it right?
Then the cake is all mine.
Hey, no fair! I want some cake too! Instinctively, I wanted to pull away, but Matthew laughed and dabbed some whipped cream on my nose from a nearby decorating spatula.
It's totally fair. Now just guess.
Is it your birthday? Matthew shook his head.
Nope. Second guess.
Is it an anniversary? Matthew nodded, but before I could cheer, Matthew rotated his hand, gesturing me to continue.
Anniversary of?
I puffed my cheeks. I could memorize facts and lessons, but dates were bad. It was like asking a girly girl when her boyfriend's frat party was. Matthew laughed before he kissed my cheek, making my puffed cheeks deflate.
It's the anniversary of when we first met.
I had practically forgotten. He was right. It had been a couple of years since I moved in and met Matthew and his brothers. He threw a party last year for it. How could I have forgotten? Time definitely flew. Matthew smiled at me, making my heart flutter and squeak once again.
I want to celebrate it every year in a different way. Next year will be something extraordinary. For now, though, this cake will do.
I quickly pulled Matthew's head down from my hand and kissed him sweetly, wanting to show him my appreciation with a kiss. He stared at me as if his greatest wish had come true. I fought back a giggle at the sight. Matthew gently pulled me to him, hugging me to his chest. I nuzzled into Matthew's chest, hearing his gentle heartbeat and memorizing its tempo.
I love you.
I love you Before I could finish, suddenly the cake, which had been sitting silently and peacefully on the counter, exploded into a giant mess on it. Matthew, luckily, was quick enough to pull us back before we got hit with flying cake pieces.
What the?
I looked at the cake to see a very mischievous little creature standing over the cake, triumphant at what it had done. Simon! I began to laugh as Matthew grew red-faced.
Simon Tabby!
I quickly rushed over and grabbed Simon, who made a squeak noise in my hands. I was still giggling as Matthew came over and glared daggers at the white doll covered in cake. We got cake all over our faces. To calm Matthew down, however, I stretched up on my toes and kissed him softly on the lips. Matthew stared, but kissed back, not wanting to let me go without a kiss of my own. I love you, Matthew. Matthew sighed before smiling at me, finally calm.
I love you too.
I didn't want to wake up if this was indeed a dream. I felt light as a feather, not wanting to ever let go of this man in my life. There are no words that could describe the emotions within me. I felt joy, happiness, ecstatic, high, all at once. Here I was with the man I would be with forever, with a cake I would delight in, even in pieces. I had gained the heart of a demon. No, of a man I loved. I vowed to cherish him and love him for the remainder of my days and beyond. Could a demon love a human forever? I knew Matthew would, and that was my happily ever after. And Matthew's cake, which exploded. Well, Simon Tabby ruined it, but still. New password unlocked. Demon War. And with that, you're done with Matthew's route. So, see you after the credits! And with that... What? And now that we have... What? Now that we have won over Matthew, we have officially completed all of the Inky Boys' routes. But there's still a little more to this game left. So... Well, guess we're just gonna have to see what happens next time. So, thank you all for watching. Be sure to leave a like, and see ya in the next one. Yup, see ya!